In this lesson, we are going to do 3 examples of finding the equation in standard form if we are given the graph. All right, let's go. If we look at the first one there, well, let's actually read the instruction. It says, find the equation of the given lines, okay? And we also need to write down the coordinate, so it needs to be in this form, of the x-intercept for each line. For A, let's have a look and see what was given. We definitely have the y-intercept, which is great because we know the y-intercept is our c value that we can plug into our standard form. And the fact that we see that that is a straight line, we know that we need to find it in this form. Y is equal to mx plus c. We need to find c and we need to find m. We already found c. So at this stage, we already know that much. Perfect. So we still need to find our gradient. Well, we can do that because we are given 2 points on that line. And we need 2 points to be able to calculate the gradient. So let's just write down the 2 points. So that is the point where x is -3 and 0. And the other point is 0 and -2. So let's calculate the gradient. There is our gradient formula. The change in our y values, so -2 and take away 0 and 0. And we're going to take away a number that is already negative. And that will give us -2 over 3. And that is our gradient. The negative gradient definitely makes sense. So therefore, the equation of the line is equal to -2 over 3x minus 2. We're not done because they also want us to go write down the coordinate of the x-intercept, right? And what is the x-intercept? Where our graph cuts our x-axis. And we have that. The x-intercept is just equal to -3 and 0. Okay, so we answered everything. Let's do B. Well, if I look at B, we are given 2 points on there. We are given the y-intercept, which is nice. And it looks like we're going to have a positive gradient. Since it is a straight line, we know it's going to be in this form. Y is equal to mx plus c. And we need to find the y-intercept and we need to find the gradient. All right, let's go plug in what we already have. We know that the c is -6. We can read it right off there, the y-intercept. So y is equal to that. We know that so far. And we just need to go calculate the gradient, which is pretty straightforward because we've got 2 points on the graph. So our gradient formula, the change in my 2 y values, -3, and I'm taking away something that's already negative, and then 1 and take away 0. That will give me 3 plus 6, which is +3, over 1 minus 0, that's just 1. So our gradient is equal to 3. So it makes sense, that positive gradient. So therefore, our equation is gradient of 3 and then a c value of 6. And that's it. What is the x-intercept though? Oh, the x-intercept is there. We definitely do not know what that is by reading it off the graph. I mean, we can't just see it, but surely we can calculate it. Let's think about how do we find the x-intercept when we go draw the straight lines. We go find the x-intercept by making our y 0 in our standard form, in our equation. So if we go make that y 0, we can just solve for x like that. So we plug in y 0, 3x minus 6, and we just quickly solve that equation. However you're going to do that. I'm going to plus 6 on that side because I want my x by itself. So then I'm left with that. And then I want x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 3 to make that go away. And then I've got that my x is equal to 2, which looks pretty good if I look at where it is on the Cartesian plane. So what is the coordinate of our x-intercept? When my y is 0, my x ended up being 2. Okay, now with this one, we are clearly not given a graph. We are given the information differently. And as you know, you need to be able to interpret the questions. We can't memorize and study questions. We need to interpret the information and make sense of what they want us to do. Determine the equation of the line. So since they tell us that it is a line, we know that it will be in the form y is equal to mx plus c. And they are telling us that that line passes through these 2 points. Okay, that's good, because if we have 2 points, we will be able to calculate the gradient. So there. And then we just need to find a way to find our c, our y-intercept. So let's find our gradient. The gradient is equal to my change in y, subtract my 2 y values, and then I am subtracting my 2 x values, and there I'm subtracting a value that is already negative. So that would give me negative 10, and that will be 2 plus 3, which is 5, and that is equal to negative 2. So if you haven't been practicing this, go back to the video on practicing gradients. It's very important. So then so far we've got that y is equal to negative 2x plus c. So we already know that the line would have a negative gradient. It would be something like that. Now we just need to find that c value. So we have got a missing parameter, a missing variable there in our equation. Now let's just think about the idea of input and output values. We have got 2 points that we can go plug in. We have got that x there. We have got that y value. They tell us that that is a point on the graph. So if it is a point on the graph, we can go plug it into our straight line. So in the place of y, now let me just write it like that. We are going to substitute that point, 2 and negative 4. You can also plug in the point negative 3 and 6 because both of them are on the line. If a point is on the line, you can always go plug it in to find a missing variable. So in the place of y, let's plug in negative 4 is equal to negative 2. And in the place of x, I plug in my 2 and then plus c. So do you see what I did there? So in the place of my y, there is my negative 4. And in the place of my x, there is my 2. And can you see that this is going to work? Because now we only have one missing parameter. We will be able to find the value of c. So let's solve that equation. It's negative 4 is equal to negative 4 plus c. And then to get c by itself, I am just going to plus 4 on this side because then it makes that go away. Then I've got c by itself. But then as long as I just do the same thing on the other side, and if I do that, it actually just gives me 0. So c is equal to 0. The y-intercept will be by 0. So therefore, our final equation would be y is equal to negative 2x plus 0. So we don't even have to write that. And there is the equation of the line.